Good evening. We are witnessing not just a war, but an absolute systemic collapse of operational capacity, documented day by day. Forget the politics and the posturing for a moment. We must focus on the cold, hard numbers released by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine for November 11th, 2025. This single 24-hour reporting period provides a devastating snapshot of a conflict grinding down a massive military machine. The human cost alone is staggering. 1,020 Russian personnel reported lost in one day. Think of that. That is the effective destruction of more than 2 full-strength infantry battalions erased within 24 hours. Sustained losses in the 4-figure range are not a tactical setback. They are a sign of a critical strategic failure in basic troop protection and casualty evacuation. It screams of relentless, high-intensity offensive operations where infantry is being fed directly into a modern battlefield grinder without the necessary armored support or air cover. This attrition rate is nearly beyond comprehension. It shows a desperate commitment to advancing at any cost, a commitment that demands 1,000 lives a day. The hardware figures reinforce this grim picture. If the troops are unprotected, it means the equipment they rely on is being systematically annihilated. In the same 24-hour window, Russian forces lost 17 artillery systems. This includes high-value assets like multiple launch rocket systems, MLRS, the weapons designed for deep strikes and area denial. Losing 17 combined artillery pieces in a single day, a mix of towed guns and self-propelled howitzers, means a tangible reduction in fire support. Every loss here makes Russian maneuvers less effective and reduces the incoming fire that Ukrainian forces must endure. But the sheer volume of material expenditure is most evident in the drone war. The numbers here have gone parabolic. 217 unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, of the operational tactical level destroyed. These are the eyes of the army, the recon, the spotters for the artillery, the real-time damage assessors. Losing over 200 of these means forces on the ground are fighting blind. Their ability to correct fire or find targets for the remaining systems is severely impaired. It's an immediate tactical crippling. And none of this even addresses the most critical vulnerability: logistics. The report explicitly notes heavy losses on the supply line. 79 vehicles and fuel tanks destroyed daily. This is arguably more strategically crippling than losing a main battle tank. A tank cannot fight without fuel and shells. When you are hemorrhaging 79 fuel trucks and ammo carriers in a single day, you are effectively starving the front line. Command and control fragments, and the entire operational pace slows to a crawl. It's a systemic operational nightmare. To understand how these daily figures are generated, we must look at the intensity of the fighting. The operational picture for the day prior, November 10th, 2025, showed breathtaking levels of activity. 156 combat clashes on the front line since the start of the day. These are separate, significant engagements happening simultaneously across a relatively static front. The primary meat grinder, the absolute epicenter of this relentless conflict, continues to rage in the Pokrovsk direction. Commanders are throwing everything they have into this sector, which naturally accounts for the immense daily casualties and equipment losses we just reviewed. This level of conflict is defined by massive saturation attacks. On November 10, 2025, Russian forces carried out 1 missile strike and 14 airstrikes, launching 2 missiles and dropping 30 guided aerial bombs. These are often massive, repurposed Soviet-era air bombs fitted with guidance kits. This demonstrates a desperate attempt to substitute for the lack of accurate long-range artillery and successful combined arms maneuver with sheer overwhelming destructive power dropped from the air. But the true scale of the ground barrage is staggering. The enemy used 22,228 kamikaze drones and conducted 3,421 shellings, targeting Ukrainian positions and settlements in one day. This is a war that has devolved into a resource-intensive war of attrition by fire, constantly pounding away. The heavy reliance on bombardment, drones, and guided bombs is a direct result of the systemic armored vehicle losses. They are substituting inexpensive explosives and air power for the maneuver capability of steel that has been eliminated. Now let's step back and put this daily destruction into the terrifying long-term perspective it demands. The cumulative picture since the start of the full-scale invasion on February 24, 2022, all the way through to November 11, 2025, reveals figures rarely seen in warfare since the mid-20th century. The devastating overall human toll reported stands at approximately 1,153,180 personnel lost. This figure represents an effective operational erasure of ground force capability and a colossal impact on the available manpower pool. This loss is compounded by the material destruction of traditional hardware. 11,342 tanks destroyed, more than most European NATO members combined. 23,553 troop-carrying armored fighting vehicles, AFVs, wiped out. The entire fleet of mechanized ground transport capability obliterated. Artillery systems total now stands at an unbelievable 34,449. These are losses that simply cannot be replaced quickly, regardless of industrial output claims. But the most telling number, the figure we promised you, is in the drone category. The total scale of this specific drone war is mind-boggling. 79,642 UAV operational tactical level systems lost since February 2022. That is almost 80,000 small, cheap, disposable flying pieces of recon. This figure is the single most powerful statement about the nature of this conflict. It reveals two things. First, that Ukrainian electronic warfare countermeasures are highly effective, consistently jamming and downing these systems before they complete their mission. Second, it demonstrates the extraordinary industrial demand required just to replace them daily. While they may be cheap individually, 80,000 of anything represents a massive industrial and logistical strain that is severely testing Russia's capacity. The figures reported for November 11, 2025 are not an anomaly. They are the continuation of a relentless, persistent, destructive trend where the material resources needed to sustain offensive action are being consumed faster than they can possibly be replenished. The system is stressed to its absolute limit. The final question for military strategists is this. Given the systemic erasure of hardware, particularly tanks, AFVs, and crucial logistics support, how long can any military force sustain this rate of daily material and human loss before the entire structure buckles under the cumulative weight leading to a major operational collapse? That is the multi-billion-dollar question that defines the strategic outlook for the coming months. Thank you for tuning in.